We continue with Beast Academy Math Guide 3A by Jason Batterson and Eric Owen. Chapter 1, Shapes, continues with Rosencrantz and Gildenstern, that's the R and G, quadrilaterals. I did it! What'd you do now? I drew the perfect rectangle. It's quite nice, but what makes that one perfect? Like all rectangles, its sides all meet at a perfect L. Those are right angles. Actually, this one is on the left. Yes, but all four angles in a rectangle are called right angles. Even the ones on the left? Right. Huh? I mean, there are right angles on the right and right angles on the left. Is that right? Any angle that makes a perfect L is called a right angle, no matter where it is. That's just wrong. Let's move on. Tell me more about this perfect rectangle. All four of its sides are exactly the same. Your perfect rectangle is called a square. I guess that's true. It's not a perfect rectangle. It's just a regular old square. Actually, it is a rectangle, but you just said it was a square. It is. A square is just a special kind of rectangle, one with four sides that are the same length. So all squares are rectangles. Right. The same way that all pigeons are birds, and all birds are animals. All squares are rectangles. Are all rectangles squares? Nope, but some are. Just like only some animals are birds, and only some birds are pigeons. Most rectangles don't have four sides that are the same. But the ones that do are called squares. All of the shapes I drew have four sides. Does that make them all rectangles? Actually, not all of these are rectangles. Stop sign. How many are rectangles? They haven't really defined rectangles entirely, have they? Four sides and four right angles. What do you mean? For a shape to be a rectangle, it needs to have four sides and four right angles. Right angles? The angle that makes a perfect L? Oh, right. So these five are all rectangles. What do we call the others? They're all called quadrilaterals. A quadrilateral is a four-sided polygon. Poly what? Polygons are closed shapes with straight sides like triangles, pentagons, hexagons, octagons. The polygons with four sides are called quadrilaterals. So some shapes are polygons, right? The closed ones with straight sides. And some polygons are quadrilaterals, the ones with four sides. And some of those quadrilaterals are rectangles, only if they have four right angles. And some of those rectangles are squares. Right, the ones with four equal sides. I get it. All squares are rectangles, all rectangles are quadrilaterals, all quadrilaterals are polygons, and all polygons are shapes. Right. But that's not all. There's a note at the bottom. It says, the diagram on this page is called a Venn diagram. That's just named after somebody. Each labeled ring represents a category. The items inside each ring belong to that category, and the items outside of the ring are not part of that category. So sort of like we sorted the triangles in a grid where we had the sides, the way it was called by sides and the way it was called by angles. In this case, we're using circles as groupings to say if it's inside the circle, it's part of that circle's category, but if it's outside, it's not. So squares is inside the shapes category. Well, everything in here is inside the shapes category, but squares is not just in the shapes category, it's in the rectangle category, in the quadrilateral category, etc. You get the point. Just like pigeons are birds, which are animals, which are living things, which are on Earth. Every square is also a rhombus. A what? A rhombus. An equilateral quadrilateral. Any quadrilateral that has 4 equal sides is called a rhombus. Like a square? Right, but a rhombus doesn't always have 4 right angles. Got it. A rhombus is like a slanty square. Here's one. What about this diamond-shaped one over here? That is a rhombus. Oh, right. If you turn it on its side, they look the same, huh? They can be big and they can be small. They can be super slanty or less slanty, but they have to have 4 equal sides. So here's a different Venn diagram. A rhombus that has 4 right angles is a square. So it's a rhombus that's also a rectangle, so it's where they overlap. So we can say that if a rhombus is also a rectangle, then it is a square. Right. And a rectangle that's also a rhombus is a square. One last question. How come you never see a baby pigeon? These are the babies. Whoa. Polygons, closed shapes with straight sides. So this guy here is not closed, so he's not a polygon. And this one has crisscrossing sides, so it's not a polygon. And this one's not a polygon because not all its sides are straight. It has this curved side. But triangles are polygons, no matter if they're equilateral or scalene or isosceles or right or obtuse or acute. Quadrilaterals all have 4 sides. They're polygons because they're closed with straight sides. And here's a rectangle and a rhombus. And the one that is both of those things is a little square. Exploring this side, we can see what those other words meant. Pentagon has 5 sides. This one has a diagonal across it, like a knight's helmet. A hexagon has 6 sides. A heptagon has 7. Octagon has 8, like our 8-sided obtuse shape from earlier. A nonagon has 9, and a decagon has 10 sides. Kind of looks like a lizard. All right, why don't you draw some polygons of your own?